Hello, one and all, and welcome to the channel today as I give you guys my top 10 favorite films of 2023. I know I said a few months ago that I'm done reviewing movies on YouTube, but I also let you guys know that I will still be continuing my tradition of giving you guys my 10 favorite films of the year. So today I'm excited to delve into this year that was 2023. Overall, there were a lot of movies this year that I loved. I know I say that every single year, but genuinely, some of the films that I have in this list will go down as possible favorites, not only of the decade, but possible favorites of all time. And I'm not just saying that just to get you guys all riled up. I genuinely believe that some of the best films I maybe have ever seen, I saw this year in 2023. Crafting together a list of my 10 favorites was absolutely insanely impossible. It was very difficult. I spent days trying to conjure up a list of my favorite films, and just knowing that I had to take some of these films off the list, it really broke my heart. So before we get into talking about these 10 films, I would just love to give you guys some honorable mentions before we get into the list. So here we go with the honorable mentions. Maestro, Theater Camp, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Polite Society, Infinity Pool, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fair Play, Rye Lane, American Fiction, Flora and Son, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, The Zone of Interest, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Dream Scenario, Air, 1001, Priscilla, Barbie, Sanctuary, Are You There, Godspeed, Margaret, Bottoms, All of Us Strangers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Iron Claw. Like I said, guys, I had so many films this year that I love, so I'm ready to tell you guys my 10 favorite films of 2023. So here we go with number 10.
I just want you to know one thing. I'm not a monster.
Anatomy of a Fall was the first film that I saw this year at the Toronto International Film Festival. I saw nearly 30 films there, and the fact that I got to start off the festival with this movie just showcased how incredible of a festival I was about to have, but also this film really was absolutely incredible. Justine Trier's Palme d'Or winner is a patient yet harrowing courtroom drama that left my skin crawling and my hands cleaning the armrests throughout the entirety of its 2.5 hour runtime. The screenplay beautifully reveals so many complexities without showcasing any winners in the end. Sandra Hüller delivers the performance of a year as a woman who may or may not have killed her husband. It's extraordinary work. It really just left me speechless when I walked out of the movie. It's one of the finest pieces of acting that I've seen in a very long time. If I could describe this movie in many words, some of them would be soul crushing, draining, exhaustive, but honestly, that's a compliment towards the movie itself. So, Anatomy of a Fall is my number 10, so let's go into my number 9.
Hey,
I've been a big fan of David Fincher for a very long time, so seeing the film like The Killer come out of him was something that was very, very exciting for me because this felt like a return to form for the man that I've loved for a very long time as a film fan. While a fairly standard thriller about a hitman turning on his masters, David Fincher finds a way of crafting a detailed procedural thriller containing some of the slickest, precise work to date that perfectly matches Michael Fassbender's titular killer, one of my favorite turns from him. He and Fincher are a literal match made in heaven. Also, it's funny, like genuinely funny. Where did that come from? The Killer is at number 9, so let's go into number 8.
I was a lesbian for a while, you know. But it was all just too wet for me in the end. Men are so lovely and dry.
Oh man, Saltburn. You know, every single year I have at least one film on my list that's so polarizing amongst critics and audiences, and I think this takes the spot for being the most polarizing film of the year in terms of what is my favorites of the year. Emerald Fennell's Sophomore Allen is a demented, horny psychological examination of desire and depravity. Barry Keoghan displays an incredibly brave performance, Rosamund Pike is the MILF of the year, and Jacob Elordi oozes the screen with his charisma and dashingly good looks, a roller coaster that constantly tosses bold surprises your way one after the other. It's absolutely absurd in every sense of the word, yet I find myself so enamored by it because of how much I love it so much. I love the insanity. Just keep giving me more of that. Saltburn is at number 8. Let's transition to my number 7. Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves. I bow to you. One of the most exhilarating pieces of not only action cinema, but any cinema that I was fortunate to witness all year long. It's a rarity to see a blockbuster perfect the balance between compelling storylines and non-stop adrenaline-inducing sequences. Believe it to the fourth installment of the friggin' John Wick series to just do that. I was struggling to breathe 1 minute due to the jaw-droppingly brilliant action set pieces, and then the next I was sobbing uncontrollably. And for a nearly 3 hour long movie, it didn't even feel like that. Honestly, I could have watched another hour of this movie. That's how good it was. In a year where we had a lot of lengthy films, this was utilized very, very beautifully. John Wick Chapter 4 is my number 7, so let's go into my number 6.
I'm from Waterloo, where the vampires hang out!
Glenn friggin' Howerton has come a long way since he played Dennis Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And then all of a sudden turning in one of the best performances of the whole year. Avoiding the typical trappings of business related true story films, Blackberry finds a way of being painstakingly hilarious and incorporating the energy of an anxiety inducing thriller. Brilliantly so that it manages to be on the same level as something that Aaron Sorkin crafted, akin to The Social Network and Steve Jobs. It left me thinking a lot about the current work environment and if trying to make the next best thing really is worth all the life you lose along the way. I'm a sucker for rise and fall films when handled properly, but kudos to Matt Johnson for making The Child of The Social Network, a film I mentioned earlier, and The Office garnered the title for one of my favorite films of 2023. I'm serious though about Glenn Howerton, one of the best performances of the year. In my eyes, he is the winner of the Best Supporting Actor Oscar, but unfortunately, we all know that that's not going to happen. But one can dream, can they? Blackberry is my number 6, so now top 5 time.
I think about you all the time. The feeling I get when we look each other in the eyes. Do you feel that too?
May, December. Wow. Every time I think about this movie, my appreciation for it skyrockets. It's pretty incredible what Todd Haynes achieves in bringing so many things together and making it work brilliantly, way more than it should. Starts off as one of the funniest films of the year and slowly unfolds into an incredibly emotionally complex, devastating film on the rot of tabloid culture, as well as a portrait of self delusion. Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore showcase some of their finest work to date, while Charles Melton comes in to deliver a quietly heartbreaking turn that left me wanting to give the man a hug. I started off wanting hot dogs, but by the end of the film, I was truly petrified. May December is my number 5, so now let's go into my number 4.
This is your Rubicon. Do not cross the Rubicon.
I think it's safe to say whenever Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti work together, they create magic. They've only done 2 films together, and both of them in my opinion, are just perfect in every sense of the word. As someone who's had an emotionally draining few holidays throughout the years, I felt this was a film meant for those who have experienced a sense of sadness during the most wonderful time of the year. Every emotional beat here is enormously earned, but it's also incredibly hilarious. The smile I had on my face from the second it started with the classic MPA rain card sprinkled with the 70s instead, a Christmas classic was born. Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa are the trio of the year. The pain that my chest had from laughing too hard and how wet my eyes were after each tearjerker moment, they simply don't make films like this anymore. It's a tyrant saying, but I'm going to break my rule here. Alexander Payne claims you're wrong if you call this film a cozy watch, but he needs to shut the hell up because this was absolutely as cozy as it gets. All I wanted to do was just grab a blanket, have a nice cup of hot chocolate, sit by the fire, and just watch The Holdovers. So for me, calling this a cozy watch, I'm going to keep on saying it. It is a cozy watch. It's good vibes to movie. That's what this movie literally is. The Holdovers is my number 4. So now, top 3 time.
이것도 전생이라면 우리의 다음 생에서는 벌써 서로에게 다른 인연인 게 아닐까?
I still think of this movie at least once a day. That's how much it left an impact on me. Past Lives is the beautiful feature debut of Celine Song, and it ponders the question of what could have been. It leaves you reminiscing and second guessing every single relationship in your life. Was it romantic? Was it not? Would our lives have been better if we had further pursued them? I haven't seen a film that has tackled that concept of what ifs this honest, maybe ever, at least released in my lifetime. From the screenplay to the direction to the performances, Greta Lee, you're my queen. Everything is handled with such delicacy and care that it makes absolute sense why this is resonating with so many people since its world premiere earlier this year at Sundance. Not only does it garner a spot as one of the best debuts, but also a great New York film, a great walk and talk film, akin to something that maybe Richard Linklater would make. I was at a Q&A for this movie when I saw it the first time with Celine Song, and after I had watched it, I felt like she had taken my entire heart out of my body, shattered it into 1,000 pieces, and I was struggling to just piece it all back together because of how emotionally devastating this film was. It really wrecked me, unlike any other movie that I saw this year, but it's one of the best films of the entire year. And there's a reason why people have talked about it since the start of the year. Past Lives at number 3, so now we get to the top 2. Let's do it.
Oh.
Oh, my dearly beloved Poor Things. Man, oh man. Where do I even start? Yorgos Lanthimos crafts a disturbed, twisted masterpiece that has aged better as time has gone on for me. I cannot stress enough how singular and unique this film is. On a technical level, it's in contention for some of the best work on display this entire year. The imagery, the production design, the costumes, the score, the world building here is truly next level. Unlike anything I maybe have ever seen, Emma Stone gives the performance of her career. It's absolutely brave, fearless, hilarious. So much is going on in this one performance that you're amazed to see Emma Stone pull something off like this. A truly imaginative, gorgeously helmed, darkly hilarious exploration of love, identity, and mortality in what could be the magnum opus of Yorgos Lanthimos' career. And since Disney owns Searchlight, can we say that Bella Baxter is one of the best Disney princesses of all time, if not the best? I mean, come on, guys, it's true. She is a Disney princess now, after all. So Poor Things is my number 2, and now we're gearing up for my number 1 favorite film of the year. This and Poor Things, we're battling it out for the number 1 spot. I've seen both of these films more times than any other films that I've watched this year. These are films that stuck with me and showcase why I love film, why I love talking about film, why I love watching film. These were the 2 films that I thought about the most throughout the year, and pinpointing which one would take the number 1 spot was incredibly challenging. But I went with my gut, and I decided that if Poor Things isn't my number 1, then this film is my number 1. So my favorite film of 2023, and I'm sure you could guess it, is
Algebra's like sheet music. The important thing isn't can you read music, it's can you hear it. Can you hear the music, Robert?
Yes, I can.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't anything new that you've heard on the internet. Oppenheimer is my favorite film of 2023. And similar to Poor Things, where do I even start? Because I saw this film 5 times in theaters. I left the theater the first time shaken up by what I had just watched. And I think we got what might be the best film of Christopher Nolan's entire career. What feels like an amalgamation of everything that Christopher Nolan has done for 20 plus years, Oppenheimer is a monumental work of art from one of our great filmmakers. Unlike your conventional biopic, this is a pulse-pounding, meticulously helmed epic that is a thriller in disguise. Every single piece here is handled so precisely that you just ask yourself, how did they do that? In a year where we've gotten the plethora of lengthy films, Jennifer Lame's editing is some of the best that I've seen in an incredibly long time. Transitioning from that, everything else here is perfect. 10 out of 10, no notes. You watch this film, and even if you walk out not liking it, you cannot deny the craftsmanship on display and how incredible it is. The score, the imagery, the sound, all of that is some of the best you've seen in a long, long time. And the juggernaut of performances from the stacked ensemble, really awe-inspiring. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Florence Pugh, the entire ensemble knocked it out of the park. You can make an argument of what Christopher Nolan's best film is, but I genuinely believe with every fiber of my being that this is the best film of Christopher Nolan's catalog, and it is also the best / my favorite film of 2023. I know there's an argument to be made where you could separate best from favorite, but if you were to ask me what I think the best made film of the year is, it's Oppenheimer. And now we're living in a time where Christopher Nolan will finally win an Academy Award. It's long overdue, and if he's going to win for something, it's got to be this, because this is everything that his career has been building up to. I don't know if he'll ever top this film, nor does he have to. I'm blown away that Oppenheimer is my favorite film of the year. It took a while for me to realize that that was the case, but once I realized that, I'm really glad I did. So Oppenheimer is my favorite film of 2023. So that is it with my list, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know your favorite films of 2023. Let me know what you guys think of my list. It's all subjective. I know that my list may not be the end all be all and what have you, but it's my list, and these are the 10 films that stuck with me the most. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this video. It really means a lot to me, to everyone who's reached out asking how I'm doing and what I'm up to and everything. I have a podcast called Film Fragments, which you guys should go listen to. I'm a part of the Rolling Tape. I will put links for everything that I do in the description below, and you guys can follow me on all social medias across the board. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. Happy holidays, everyone. Take care. Hopefully 2024 is great for you as well. I'll see you guys soon.